This is kind of a weird place, but welcome back to Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones. Last time I showed off a few glitches in this game, and now it's time to finally take on the Tower of Valni. I'm right here because I decided to skip over the first floor. You've already seen it once, so I felt no need to show it again. We're beginning our Tower of Valni coverage starting with the second floor. You might notice that I used a certain person to complete the first floor though. This is because I wanted to get them promoted. Speaking of promotions, we're going to be promoting quite a few people to start this part off before I even show the map, so let's go ahead and do that. First we have Rachel, who hit level 20 quite easily from the sheer amount of healing that I had to do in grinding. Her stats are looking pretty great. Yeah, Rachel's quite fun to use in the post-game, so let's quickly grab ourselves one of the guiding rings and use it. And I'm gonna go Mage Knight because Anima is way better than Light, unless you have Slayer, which Valkyrie doesn't, obviously. It is kind of weird how both male and female Mage Knights use the exact same sprite, though. But anyway, she can now use offensive magic. And I've brought a few animatomes, let me see. So yeah, I did go ahead and buy some stuff for my trip through the tower. Wow, she can use L-Fire already, nice. Yeah, from starting with the C rank. Forgot about that, it's been a little while since I did a bio. How high is your con though? 6. That's enough to use Thunder. There is... If I'd known that, I would have bought a bunch of Thunders. That's kind of a shame, I'll just grab a Fire. Next is Noel, the one who I actually spent all that time grinding, mainly because I really wanted to show a summoner. As you can see, he's got good magic, average skill speed and resistance, and everything else terrible. Yeah, I mainly like Noel for his summoning utility. I'm not going to be using my other guiding ring. I'm actually going to have to burn one of my Master Seals on him. This seems like kind of a waste, but I didn't want to spend extra money on more promotion items. Also, here's what Noel's are. I've just noticed that I never showed Noel's animations as a shaman before, I'm pretty sure, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and make him a summoner. I really wanted to show off summons in this run of the tower, because I really enjoy the summoner class. It's very fun for luring enemies, and having access to completely expendable troops is kind of useful. Decent boost to speed and resistance, but no magic, unfortunately. And I guess Noel can now act as a backup healer. So, let's see if I have any, I only have a 6-use heal staff. Well, I guess I'll have to be stuck with that. So now the other characters that I want to promote. Let's see, I have Marissa here. Not so good strength, but yeah, she's all about critical hits and evasion. I've also bought a couple of Shamshears from the Ralston Court secret shop for this. And thankfully, I have this one extra hero crest. The only other one who'd really need that is Garcia, so I'm fine using this here. There's Assassin or Swordmaster. I still say Swordmaster is technically... That's a lot of exposed leg there, but anyway. Yeah, so Swordmaster is technically better, but Assassin, I feel fits Marissa's stat build a bit more. Plus, I'm going to get to show off Silencer with this, hopefully. Another case of the sprite being the exact same for males and females, which has now turned Marissa into a Jafar palette swap, which really doesn't suit her at all. Also, her assassin outfit is quite weird, though admittedly assassins do have a unique map sprite for females, just not a unique battle sprite. So yeah, restricted to swords, but they have access to Silencer, aka Lethality. Anyway, Arthur, he can actually use Aura. So Arthur, I get the feeling that I got speed screwed with him. I think his speed is supposed to be quite a bit better than this. Also, I forgot his luck was this bad. But anyway, here's the one I want to use my second guiding ring on, mainly because a bishop is going to be absurdly useful here. Obviously, we're going to go bishop, definitely not going to go sage. Because Slayer is just too good, especially in the post-game, where... Technically speaking, it's not all monsters, but it's like 99.9% monsters. There are some thieves that show up in the Lagdo Ruins, but they're the only human enemies you ever see at this point in the game. And getting a C rank in Staves right off the bat is very, very nice. I certainly remember that from his bio. Yep, C rank in Staves. So let's go ahead and give him one, just in case. I guess I can take Mend. And he's kind of fine on... Do I have any more light magic? Okay, I did get a Shine Tome. Might as well take that. I can always buy more lightning from the convoy if I need to, even though it's not exactly worth it. Namie, her stats aren't really the best, but I mainly wanted to use her because, hey, she's going to be a ranger, and I do like rangers. Also, just to have this Orion's Bolt see in actual use, because she's the only person you ever need this for. Nope, no way am I going sniper, sorry. Mounted and access to swords, or an incredibly useless skill? Which would you prefer? Also, rangers do look pretty cool, as long as they're not doing their sword animation. Some okay stat boosts. And I should probably give her a sword. Also, these bows don't have... Did I buy... Well, she can use a brave bow, but I probably should have bought some extra killer bows. Well, I mean, she can use steel right off the bat. That's not bad. Yeah, that's a starting D rank. That's alright. And now Franz. Yeah, it's been a while since we actually used him, but I decided to get him up to level 20 for this, mainly because I also decided to get Kyle to level 20, and I wanted to make Kyle a Great Knight, so Franz can go Paladin just for some difference. I often do find myself using Franz. He's pretty great all throughout the game, so I'm glad that I'm actually getting to show Franz now. So, welcome to Muted Green Seth. His resistance is kind of low, though. Anyway, now that we have Franz, I think you're okay on weapons at this point. And now Kyle. Kyle is definitely not okay on weapons, but here he is. He didn't end up that amazingly better than Franz in terms of strength, which is kind of unfortunate, but his defense is alright. And Kyle, yeah, I know technically he's better as a paladin, but I'm going to make him a Great Knight because I feel that suits his stats better. So, let's go for it. I do like how they used a different color of green for the Green Knight in this game. But anyway, it's time for Olive Green Great Knight Kyle. So I'm hoping that level 1 promoted is enough to carry me through most of the Tower of Valni. If things get dicey later on, and plus 4 con's pretty nice, if things get dicey later on, I can just use people like Dacel or Innes or even Seth. So yeah, let's see what we got here. I've got quite a few spare lances. This is weird. This spear dropped from a Bone Walker in Chapter 4's Skirmish. I have no idea why one that early spawned one of those. I don't think I need that silver lance just yet. I've got a few spare iron axes, so I might as well take one of those. And speaking of iron axes, well, you have a lot of iron lances, I'm going to give one of those to Gilliam after he promotes. And again, okay, wait, I forgot to show Gilliam's unpromoted final stats. Yes, he did camp defense, and look at that. So yeah, once you've beaten the game at least once, you can see a character's battles, wins, and losses on their stat screen. That's a pretty ridiculous ratio of wins to actual battles. Yeah, that's what you get for being a tank who doesn't double often. You fight a lot, but you don't really kill things that often. He was still useful, though, for luring a lot of enemies, so I did quite like using him. So anyway, I'm going to make him a general, even though Great Knight is technically better, just because I just want to show what a general fighting in battle looks like. I mean, you briefly saw General Amelia in the Link Arena, but Gilliam's really what a general really should be. Though I would have appreciated a little bit more strength out of him, but oh well. So now he gains access to both swords and axes, which is kind of nice. So let's go ahead and he cannot use any of those swords. He can use a steel axe though, and I'm pretty sure his con is good enough for it. Yeah, definitely, 16 con. Alright, because steel axes are E-ranked. Do I have any spare iron swords? Doesn't really seem like it, does it? Well, I've got yours. Might as well grab that. Generals using sword looks pretty cool, so that's mainly why I wanted to do that. Okay, so let's just not use our super overpowered team, and let's bring in the B team for this. Oh, hey, I can kind of afford to fit most people on this. So I guess that'll be pretty cool. I can show off everyone that I just promoted. So now, here's the map here. So we just have a big area here, a very narrow corridor with some bone walkers, some kind of strong-ish enemies up the top. These sharp claws do hit pretty hard, as well as a boss with a tomahawk, and bosses tend to have hilariously low stats on hard mode. So, yeah. Let me see if there are any drops here. So as I've said quite a while earlier, most of that killer bow is going to be a problem, especially for Noel. Nice that we're getting a rune sword, though. Also, there seem to be a couple of longbows here. So, the enemy sets in the tower and the ruins, but that's for later, are all randomized. If that guy somehow wants to use his steel bow to attack instead of the killer bow, I'd get that dropped, but I highly doubt that'll happen. And yeah, the item drops are also randomized, so let's go ahead and do formation here. There isn't a single magic-using enemy on this map, so Gilliam and, to a lesser extent, Kyle are going to have kind of free reign. And yeah, Arthur is still very defensively frail, as is Noel, so I might keep them back a bit. With that, I think it's time to go ahead and fight. And we're going to be hearing this music a lot from here on. Oh, and I have the game speed set on fast. Yeah, that was to speed up grinding. So let's go ahead and I can have animation on 1 and put that on normal. So here's a general fighting. I always found their animations kind of weird in the GBA games. They have these weird spring-loaded chain weapons that have that chain that just pulls them back to themselves. Of course, they don't do that with swords, though. They only do that with lance and axes, which are the only 2 weapons they could use in the GBA game. Well, in FE7 is what I meant. Alright, at this point, yeah, I am a little bit concerned about some of these enemies. With my weaker magic users, especially. But there's a spot there that I could send someone. No one of you has the killer bow. Ah, crap, I was gonna put the iron rune on Noel. With Noel, you pretty much have to have an iron rune on him at all times, otherwise just everything ever criticals him, so that was annoying that I didn't do that. Let's see, I could have Naomi try and match you in an archery duel. And as for Noel, he'll just go here and summon a phantom, which will probably die immediately. But yeah, this is my first time actually showing summoning, and I still love how Noel's summons are luckier than he is. This is my first time showing summoning in the main playthrough, so at level 1 they usually only have iron axes. They'll sometimes spawn with some pretty strong axes at higher levels. Their level is tied to the summoner, of course. But the main usefulness of phantoms is they are completely expendable, and the enemy just loves attacking them. They're great if you need a lure. So these first few areas of the tower should be relatively easy for this team, but later on, yeah, I forget the exact levels that show up later on in the tower, but I'm hoping this team should be able to handle them. As you can see, that's the main fate of phantoms. They'll just often get killed by the first enemy they fight, although at higher levels they can be fairly evasive. They can also sometimes spawn with killer axes too, but devil axes, which is very fun. Because who cares if they backfire, it's only an expendable phantom. I know I said how Gilliam is pretty much invincible here, but I'd like the enemies to attack other people. Kyle is also pretty much invincible. I probably should have equipped the javelin. Definitely should have equipped the javelin. I should probably be able to rush in and clean up these enemies, though, next time. So you can train weaker characters here, but it's actually not that easy because there's a lot of enemies that'll rush you all at once in this big open area here. I prefer just sticking to the lower floor, well, the first floor for training lower level characters. I was supposed to give Marissa her rune swords. This should hopefully still be okay. This steel blade is weighing her down massively, but I guess she's trying to be like Garrick here. Oh hey, there's a crit with only a 7% chance. Wasn't Silencer though, so anytime an assassin rolls a critical, there's a 50% chance that it'll be instant death, or a 25% chance against a boss. So effectively the Silencer rate is 50% of your crit rate, or 25% of your crit rate if you're fighting a boss. And the Demon King's immune to it, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if Leon is? Sometimes particularly major bosses are made immune to Silencer, but I'm not sure how that works in this game. There are some games where Silencer just flat out doesn't work on bosses at all, like I think in Path of Radiance, where it was called Lethality. I just realized how low Naimi's HP is. Yeah, I'm gonna need to heal her now. Gotta be a bit careful here. Though I would really like to try out Arthur's amazing new Slayer skill, like this. And Arthur now looks exactly like Reeve. Huh, you actually did attack with your steel bow. That's pretty surprising. I'm glad I got that, because I kind of want Naimi to use it. But like I said, I need to heal her right now, which I might as well get out of the way. I forgot how... well... And here we see a Mage Knight using a staff, and I think we've actually seen this before. They could have easily made their staves look the same as Valkyrie's, but they didn't, and I like that. But yeah, like I was saying... what was I saying? Something to do with her low HP? I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, we're not getting much experience here, but that might change later on. I could actually get you, but I think I'm just gonna fight these enemies first. Can't even damage a paladin. Well, I mean, paladins are kind of tanky sometimes. I still have no idea why in Shadow Dragon they gave paladins a 30 defense cap. Virtually none of them were ever likely to reach that cap, but it was still pretty weird as it made generals essentially obsolete. There's a longbow. Especially in multiplayer, where everyone was expected to hack to max stats, so paladins would always have 30 defense. That's part of why I never really liked Shadow Dragon multiplayer. It was just all full of hacking. Anyway, let's just get rid of this longbow before he starts becoming really annoying. Even though he's not really a threat. And none of you have any... doesn't seem like it, although one of you has a short spear. Okay, that's a sword, but you're not going to be able to hurt Gilliam if he equips an axe anyway, and I guess I can try and show Gilliam's axe animation here. Oh, hey, I can actually... well, if you hit both of these... will you? Yes, you did. Nice. Guess Marissa could try and rune sword some of them from over the wall. Oh, hey, Arthur can actually get this one. So now Gilliam won't need to deal with the sword enemy at all. And I'm kind of hoping that... I know that the AI prioritizes enemies that can't counter, so it probably won't go for Arthur, but I'd like it if it did, because then he would die. Speaking of die, let's summon another Phantom. So yeah, stats will vary, because Phantoms level up on their own personal growth rates that are different for anyone who can potentially be a summoner, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I thought you'd do that. And there's what Gilliam with an axe looks like. And there's what Kyle getting shot with a longbow looks like. I'll just say, expect me to go on a lot of tangents in these videos, because I don't particularly find the Tower of Valni all that interesting. But anyway, let's just show what Gilliam actually using the axe looks like. Yes, it's still, chain pulled and spring-loaded. It just hovers there in midair until he pulls it back with the chain. Swords look different, though. The sword animation being created specifically for Sacred Stones probably has something to do with that, but yes. Generals using swords do look a bit different. I mean, normally I'd be worried about Arto leading the charge here, but he does have Slayer, though his defense is still incredibly weak. Guess you technically need experience more, so let's go ahead and have you javelin this guy. Now, some of the Tower and Ruins maps do have reinforcements. I'm pretty sure this one doesn't, but some of them do. I'll be talking about those later. So yeah, at this point it's just cleaning stuff up, and you cleaned yourself up for me. That's very useful. How nice of you. Oh! I just had to say that, didn't I? Oh yeah, this chap doesn't have any reinforcements. Ooh. Right. All of you have axes, though. That gives me an idea. Although, I don't like her using that steel blade. Let's swap, even though Naomi using the steel blade is even worse. Because she can't even use it at all. But, like I said, you guys all use axes. How much base evasion do you have? 51 on a pillar, that's quite a lot. And then combined with the weapon triangle bonus, that should hopefully be enough. Meanwhile, Arthur shall vaporize this spider. Let's just go for shine. One thing that I did find out about light magic, using it in skirmishes just for grinding purposes, is that its extreme accuracy makes it really useful against Maldugs, because they tend to have a lot of evasion, especially for lower level characters to deal with, so light's really high accuracy does help a lot there. I still can't believe the game's like, oh, you said there are no reinforcements, haha, I'm gonna prove you wrong. These things can be pretty dangerous for lower level characters now I think about it. Let me see, from open terrain, you have an 11% chance of hitting. That's a good sign. Okay, that's gonna drop your evasion. But considering that you're standing on a pillar, although rune swords are not a great weapon for assassins, even though one in, actually they probably were equipped with it for that reason. Yeah, there's an assassin boss in the final chapter of Blazing Sword who has a rune sword, and, yeah, rune swords cannot critical at all, which means that you can't get silencer / lethality off of them. But the thing about that is, yeah, I feel like they deliberately did that in, with that specific assassin boss, just so that he doesn't lethality you, because they realize that having an enemy with instant death in a game with permadeath isn't really fair. Tell that to Awakening Street Pass battles, though. I mean, you know, Awakening Street Pass battles aren't exactly designed to be balanced to begin with, and you can easily just break them by using pair up. But, still. Anyway, I suppose I can take a bit of a tangent to just talk about this. Some of it... Oh! There's Great Shield! Activating on an attack that wouldn't do anything anyway. I really hope that Great Shield is based on, like, if you're promoted, it counts as 20 plus your level, because otherwise I just activated a 1% chance on something that was useless. I mean, that's pretty typical for my luck, but still. But yeah, something that does bother me is just, like, I said it back in my Awakening playthrough that I personally feel that it's pointless to really care about making, like, quote-unquote competitive Street Pass teams, because since they're entirely AI controlled and go into other people's games, there's absolutely zero benefit to you personally for having your Street Pass team kill members of another player's team, and all it does is cause suffering to another human player for no gain to yourself. So I personally it really bothers me. So, I mean, I understand, like, some people might like the challenge of fighting one of those teams, but there do seem to be a lot of players who seem to like to set up their Street Pass teams specifically to result in death, and again, to me, I just feel like it's cruelty to others at no gain to yourself, and that just bothers me. Anyway, this is what Gilliam looks like using a sword. This animation was created specifically for Sacred Stones, and like a lot of animations created specifically for Sacred Stones, it does look like it's missing a few frames. But, it's still better than my opinion on the Raymation. See, here's an example of Maldug, and it promptly dodged to prove my point, of Maldug evasion rates. Yeah, they're pretty annoying. Which is why light magic is kind of... You do have a longbow, but I moved to exactly the wrong spot. Nami and Arthur do actually have support, so I'm surprised that I haven't unlocked a support between them yet. Anyway, sorry if I got surprisingly exactly philosophical is the right word there, but I still... Yeah, it still kind of bothers me when, people just set up their teams in that way, because it has, like... If you could somehow keep track of the success of... Like My Castle in Fates, for example, that one actually gives you rewards for... I believe it... I forget if I'm right about this or not, but I believe it does give you actual rewards by keeping track of how good your team is going on the defensive. So there is actual benefits of making your team good against other players' teams, but with Awakening, there's no benefit to yourself whatsoever, so... Anyway. Enough about that. Let's focus on getting to the edge of this map. Also, here's someone using a staff, and the staff is coloured by their own colour palette, so Noel gets dark, dreary purple staves. Ewan would probably get bright, colourful blue staves. Kind of wish there was a way that you could just dismiss a Phantom so that you... Because at this point, that Phantom's going to take so long to reach the action that I'd rather have... I was about to call him Ewan. I'd rather have Noel just summon another one, because at least that'd be closer to the action, but I can't do that because you can only have one Phantom out at a time. So I wish there was a way to, like, dismiss the Phantom so you could summon another one. Oh, hey, the boss is actually moving. That's a surprise. And it does have a reasonably strong weapon in that Tomahawk. I know I've probably said this many, many times, but I still find it kind of interesting that the Tomahawk was an enemy-only weapon back in FE6. Like a lot of weapons, like Fenrir, like, I think... No, was Aura even in FE6? I've completely forgotten. But I'm pretty sure Fenrir was entirely an enemy-only spell, as was the Tomahawk, and I think the Spear as well was also enemy-only. I also vaguely recall Fimbulverter being enemy-only, used by Brunja towards the end of the game. Not getting much experience even from a boss here. Let's see. Will Nami be in... Oh, right, you're the one with the... You're gonna... Oh, wait, you have 1 to 2 range on anything, so it's kind of a toss-up whether I get that rune sword or not. But I could actually stand to gain a short spear. I'm fine with that. In fact, at this point, I'd probably prefer the short spear to the rune sword. Okay, let's just, okay, you do have a Tomahawk, so... Archers. Archers do always tend to be a little weak in Fire Emblem games. That's a pretty big discrepancy between the amount of experience we're normally getting and the amount of experience bosses give, but I guess promoted bonus plus boss bonus equals a lot of experience. Okay, you're 1 to 2, well... Emphasis on 1 to 2 range, meaning that you can actually get Nami in a position where she can't counter. So I'm going to send Arthur here. Oh, okay, we do have a support. Might as well do this. I will warn you, I've done this before. This support will end on a cliffhanger because I can't get them to an A. This is another one of those supports that is really jerkish if you've already A supported either of them with someone else, because the B support ends on kind of a cliffhanger. Sorry, our introduction has been so delayed. You're telling me you've spent so long grinding together, you're only just getting a support now. So yeah, this mirror forms a pretty big role of these supports. Okay, that's interesting. We get a bit of backstory here. I like supports that reveal character backstory. And we'll only be getting them up to a B, so we won't be finding out the full truth about that mirror. In fact, I need to go back and read their A support sometime, because I've kind of forgotten myself what it was. Oh, I still really want to show Silencer at some point. I hopefully will get the chance, because, like I said, I bought a couple of Shamshears, and I was supposed to give them to her, and then I forgot. One shot would have been nice there. And another useless Great Shield. Okay, maybe it is level plus 20 if you're promoted. Because getting 2 1% in the same chapter is probably unheard of. I had a feeling you'd attack Namie. Okay, so I guess I am sword. Unfortunately, that only had one use left. Let's see in terms of experience that we all have. Yeah, I guess Arto needs it a bit more. Do have to be careful though, because of those spiders. Because they do have sharp claws, and those can be pretty painful. And that... Another good thing about light magic is its high crit rate. I still feel like its low power is not really worth the wait, but Slayer does make it pretty good anyway, and Arto's just been getting all the weapon drops here. Right. Guess Malzdug's one of the few times that the Sure Strike skill is actually kind of useful. And you crit anyway! And yet another critical animation that involves spinning. Just about every bow crit animation in this game, and I guess in the series, although I forget if some of them are different or not, but a lot of them involve twirling an arrow. I mean, admittedly, there aren't many other ways that you could show a flashy animation with a bow. I mean, there is Takumi's 360 no-scope animation in Fates, but that is also technically just a variant of spinning. Let's lure in these spiders now. The Phantom has finally joined us. And you two are still... Yeah, I'm just going to leave them there. I'm sorry. This is an escape map, thankfully. Well, I mean, escape chapters in Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn aren't too bad, but escape chapters in Thrakia 776 are just... Okay, I'm sure I've shown a general critical animation at least once before on the playthrough, but that's what it looks like with a lance. Once again, more spinning. Probably one of my top spinning animations in the G games. Though Warrior's normal axe critical is probably one of the best. Because they don't just spin their weapon, they spin their entire body. The Warrior bow critical is pretty great too, because they have an extra flourish in addition to spinning. They basically draw the bow back so hard, the bow looks like it's about to snap in half. And so, no more Tower of Valni Floor 2. That went by pretty quickly, obviously. But this does get a little harder. You can see why I didn't do this with my main story team. That would be an even bigger massacre. So anyway, we'll be going up to the next floor next. Okay, so let's move on. Tower of Valni 3. You don't get any flashy chapter intros from these. So let's check the map here. Alright, it's this one. I kind of remember this one. This map is full of Bales and Malzdug's. Lots and lots of Bales, so expect to be dealing with a lot of sharp claws. The boss here being an Elder Bale. Stats aren't particularly amazing, though. Also, quite a few Malzdug's here. But there is an Entombed up here, and a chest, so... I did mention this earlier, but the Tower of Valni and the Lagdo Ruins do feature treasure chests. Their contents are randomized between... There's a certain set of things that they could possibly be, essentially. So let's see if I've got any item drops here. Okay, there's a hammer. That's not... Well, actually, that is bad, because there's nothing armored in the post-game, so that's going to be useless. Okay, one of you has a poison axe. 50 gold. 50 gold and a hammer, that's all. Well, there is a chest, like I said, and because of that, nothing here is dropping a chest key either, so I'm going to need to bring a thief here. Someone's going to need to be kicked out in exchange for, yeah, I'll probably just use Rennek. So, firstly, I need to make sure that Marissa has the actual weapons that I want her to use. I don't want to blow through all of her Shamshir uses too soon, though. I'll take one Shamshir for now, and I'll just grab another Rune Sword. I think Franz is still okay. That's Steel Blade. That's like C, right? No, I don't think Kyle can use it. He's almost there, though. I may as well give that to him once he can use it. Yeah, I'd much rather have that steel sword on Marissa, but I'm pretty sure I have a... No, I don't. Does anybody have any spare swords that we could use? That silver sword I might need to give to Marissa later too. I've got another silver sword as well. Yeah, I think for now I'm just going to keep you on bows. In fact, I may not even bring you to this chapter because you're right on the cusp of leveling up anyway. So I'll take you out and then I'll replace you with wherever Rennick is. And I don't even need those lockpicks. Don't need these either. I'm not really going to have him fight anyway. Even though he could conceivably fight kind of well here. So let's go ahead and switch our formation around. Once again, there are not any magical enemies at all in this map, so Gilliam is pretty much going to be destroying everything except for the one with the hammer, who I obviously need to avoid. But I might want to let Franz and Carl take some of this. No, yeah, I'd like Marissa to get a little bit more action as well. In fact, the first enemy here being one of you. Marissa might not do badly against that. Yeah, I think I'm fine with this setup, so let's go. And yet more of this music. I don't know if, maybe for the Lagto Ruins, I might want to, yeah, I had a feeling you'd be doubling with that. I might want to maybe, it'd be annoying for me to record with the sound muted, but it'd let me put some other music over the video, so it would be a bit less monotonous having to hear this song again and again and again. But anyway, lethality, please? No, that was just a regular crit. You'll know that it was a lethality slash silencer if she splits into two images briefly before twirling the knives. And yes, normal swords somehow turn into two knives when used by assassins. It's just a thing that happens. Later games, well, I mean, actually just Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn would turn knives into a separate weapon type, but that was a little bit controversial because they kind of sucked. I did like throwing knives, though, and I really like the way that knives work in Fates, but, yeah, debuffs were pretty cool. I like that. That was one of my favorite new additions in that game. Kind of wish that would come back, although I would appreciate if there was an actual restore staff available, because that would definitely help. It being able to cure debuffs as well as things like the Hexing Rod would definitely be quite useful to have. Gilliam is actually doubling things. It's more a testament to how bad their speed is. Oh, the enemies are starting to give a little bit more experience. I wasn't even keeping track of what the overall levels are here. Around 8 to 11. Yeah, that's pretty much about what I expect. Okay, let's see if, no, you can't quite get there. But Franz might... No, he can't. And that's actually quite a bit of damage. Although I could have Marissa finish off with the Rune Sword if I need to. Yeah, Sharp Claws always hurt, although I've definitely stressed that more than enough this playthrough. Might want to just take time to mention the records option. So, this current thing is showing that... Okay, so, me gaining 626 experience, it seems hard to believe, but that's probably mostly from the first floor when Noel wasn't promoted yet. So, see the number of... See the monsters there? 47. We want to end this run at the tower with at least 200 monsters killed, because that's related to one of the unlockables that you can get in this game. Only available in the post-game, by the way. So yeah, we need to make sure that we kill at least 200 monsters in a single run at the Tower of Valni. Which isn't really that hard, but it does require... Don't know if it requires killing some of the reinforcements or not, but it's definitely not that hard to do. I've got a lot of rune swords, so I can afford to use up stuff on it. Yeah, I get the feeling that promoting her to Assassin gave her the Thief class power, thus making her gain experience at a faster rate, unless... because it definitely does seem like she's getting experience at a faster rate than other characters. Oh, I really wish I had Teddy's, but really low deployment counts here means that I'd have to kick someone out and have them a little bit behind on experience if I wanted to bring Teddy's, and I already... That's the reason I decided to kick out Namie, because she was very close to leveling up anyway, so everyone else needed the experience a bit more. Okay, Gilliam can go around there. Now I'm wishing that I had a Swift Soul to use on him. I could use the trick to get a Swift Soul, but that would require me to do one run of the ruins, which would inflate everyone's levels a lot, and I'd like to have everyone go into the ruins at the level they entered the at level they entered the post-game ending, exactly. The level they left the main story at, pretty much. So as you can see, there are a lot of bales here. Okay, that one actually does have a poisoned weapon. I'm just gonna park her here and go for some more lethalities, potentially. They might not all go for her, but, still. Alright, if the Phantom's in the line of fire, he's obviously gonna get attacked. Because they're like, oh, 1 HP! Easy pickings, let's go for it. I just want to show lethality, because there's something that I need to talk about, regarding it. Okay, so you can fit in there. Yeah, I thought you'd do that. 5 damage to Gilliam is pretty impressive. At this point, at least, the enemies are probably going to get stronger eventually. I know they do start throwing things like Gorgons and Cyclopses at you later on. Okay, lethality would be really appreciated right about now. Nope. And that was a normal crit again. It's also useful because enemies killed with... I keep calling it lethality. Enemies killed with Silencer give double experience. And I was hoping that would go for her. And I should probably be using better Lance on Gilliam than just Iron. But yeah, I'm convinced it's definitely 20 plus your level percent. Although, bosses that have used Great Shield on us so far haven't really done that. Because you'd think they'd be getting Great Shield an awful lot, especially Vigard. Anyway, as you can see here, while you can have a Phantom attack, it's not really advised. Especially since it's not going to give you any experience. It'd be kind of cool if any experience gained by a Phantom went to the Summoner, but that is not the case. Okay, so that's gone. I really want to show Silencer at least once. Marissa's just going to go hopping between pillars until I finally get Silencer to work. Probably should be using Arthur a lot more, it's just that his low defense makes me really worried about committing him, especially since I kind of want to at least try and play this how I would normally play the Tower of the Ruins, so I guess I can confess one thing. So, I'm kind of cheating here and using restore points between floors. I'm only doing that for basically ease of recording, because how the Tower of the Ruins is supposed to work is that you can't make permanent saves while you're in there. Basically, once you're in, you can only do suspend, and that's just to take a break, and it's automatically deleted when you reload the file. You're basically supposed to get through these areas in one sitting, which, for recording purposes, would be really impractical, especially for the ruins, as that would take hours. It would basically force me to record, like, a 3 to maybe even 5 hour long session at once, and if a single person dies ever, I would have to redo the entire thing from the beginning. So I hope people understand why I'm doing it like this by cheating with the Wii U version's restore points, but I just feel like, yeah, I really don't want to have to re-record everything if I lose someone. Anyway, though, back to squashing spiders. So yeah, another thing, all Tower of Valni and Lagdo Ruins maps are route, so yeah, you're gonna obviously get bored with the mission type eventually. You're just an iron axe, you're not anything particularly scary or anything like that. Watcher get lethality with just the steel sword. This is a lot of damage if she does get... The game has suddenly gained sentience and is hearing what I can... Are you serious? Did that just... What? Really? Like, now that I've said it, the game's like, okay, I guess you can get lethality now. My luck is just bizarre sometimes. Why? Oh, that is just... I have no words for that at all. But anyway, you might notice that Silencer there looks different to how it looked in the GBA game. Well, this is the GBA. I keep calling FE7 in general the GBA games, but it's often the only one people talk about. Anyway, though, it looks different to how it looked in FE7, and that's because in the Japanese version of Sacred Stones, it did look the same as it did in FE7 with a red flicker, but for some reason, the English version of Sacred Stones censored it to purple. Why they would censor this, of all things, and not censor, say, Volta or Orson's wife, I have no idea. But for some reason they decided, yeah, let's censor the Silencer flicker to purple, because it looked too much like blood before. Pretty bizarre. But, I mean, you know, don't want to get onto the topic, but I mean, some other FE games have had some pretty bizarre censorship too, like Summer Scramble. And somebody finally levels up. And pretty much gains the stats that you'd expect, but no strength. Yeah, Marissa is very reliant on either critical hits or Silencer to get kills. And she does join a lot later than Joshua, but I still really like her as a character. Anyway, though. I mean, I suppose the whole thing regarding Silencer is, I guess for the age rating that the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblems were, I don't know if they were going for one in particular, but the age rating that they generally are, I guess implied blood is a little bit risque for that rating. Like, I always considered the GBA Fire Emblems to, well, I mean, there is a sheer amount of really, really dark implied stuff in this game specifically, but I always considered the GBA Fire Emblem games to be a bit more quote-unquote family-friendly than the 3D Fire Emblems, which often are allowed to get away with a lot more risque things. I still can't believe that Radiant Dawn is E10 in America, though, and Path of Radiance was T, because I think Radiant Dawn is a lot darker. Yeah, I have no idea why they gave it a lower rating. It's got more swearing than Path of Radiance too. I mean, Path of Radiance uses damn like twice all game, and one of them is an Ike's death quote in the final chapter, so it's something that you're never meant to see. Well, I mean, if you're playing well, you're never meant to see it. But Radiant Dawn has that a lot, and I'm pretty sure there are a couple of hells in Radiant Dawn as well. So, yeah, weird how that game somehow got a lower rating than Path of Radiance in America. In Australia, it's got the same rating. They're both the equivalent of America's T, which, yeah, I'm sure he's going to be fine, though. But yeah, which in Australia, which makes things very confusing when talking about things online, is called M. Yeah, our M rating is the equivalent of T in America, which is confusing. Our equivalent of America's M is MA, except our age recommendation for that is 15 and not 17. And it's not a recommendation, it's actually enforced by law. Well, I mean, technically speaking. Basically, you have to show proof of age if you want to rent or buy anything with that rating over here. And if you look old enough, they usually don't ask you. I knew someone who looked, who got asked because they looked a lot younger than they actually were. And now, if you want really weird tangents, I guess on that note, I can just... might want to say something that's only very remotely linked to that, but, don't know if I should really be saying this, but my mother, when she was younger, she apparently once got pulled over by police because they thought she was too young to drive, which is probably quite the compliment. But yeah, she keeps telling that story because it's pretty amusing. Anyway, though, back to Gilliam hitting things with a really huge sword. Another case of weird animations in this game. If an assassin equips an iron sword, it looks like a small dagger, but for a general, it suddenly turns into a giant cloud sword. Can anything get to... I don't think anything can get to Noel from there. But, let me check just for good measure. Oh, something can get to Noel. And something pretty dangerous too, because that's 12 attack, he's definitely getting doubles. He's not going to die. I don't really want to put Rennek in the way and use him as a human shield, but I'm sorry, but Rennek is being used as a human shield. Okay, yeah, you're going to go over here. I'm going to get Franz back in the fray soon. I guess... Oh, right, I could have, yeah, so being an assassin, Marissa can use lockpicks now, so I could have just used her to unlock that chest, which probably would have been smarter because she's a bit better in combat at this point than Rennek is. Well, Gilliam's almost about to level up. Now, yeah, I thought you'd be attacking next. And another level up, nice. 1 point of speed is not bad. Alright, and you didn't even move. Okay, that scares me because now I know that you're all wanting to rush someone at the same time. However... Okay, yeah, no damage. Yeah, the only one that will do any damage to Franz at all is the one with the hammer, and that's going to be neutralized by the steel sword, so I'm just going to go ahead and go for this. You're going to pick that eventually, but not quite yet. I probably should have given Arthur the entombed kill there, but oh well. I wonder if Gilliam's ratio of wins to battles has improved at all. Let me check. It's actually getting closer to 1/3 now, which isn't as bad as it was before. Alright, let's see... Don't think Carl can even get into range of anything. Okay, yeah, you're all going to attack Franz and do nothing. Yeah, so the enemies here, as you can tell, are quite weak. You're obviously supposed to be doing this during the main story, but that makes you very, very overpowered for the main story chapters, so that's why I specifically avoided it, and decided to leave it to the post-game now. Although, there are a lot of, doubling in Mount Duga's pretty impressive. There are a lot of special unlockables that you can only get from the tower in the post-game. That's the other reason why I wanted to do it now. But these unlockables, from what I read, the exact sentence was, the game only starts checking for unlockables after you've beaten the game. So, I wonder if it's possible, and if this was FE7, you could have used that, but this is not FE7. I guess this guy's just going to be a chest guard. He doesn't really move from that chest. But yeah, so I'm not entirely sure if, because I've only ever, like, fully explored the tower and the ruins. Like, I've never done that before being the main story in a file before. But I wonder if it's possible to, like, actually go through the whole tower during the main story, and then the post-game suddenly unlock everything. The unlocks happen at the start of the next battle after you unlock them. So you'd probably have to go to some skirmishes, but I think they could. Anyway, let's see what we've got in the chest. 3,000 gold. So, I actually lied earlier. There are a couple of fixed chests in the tower. Most of them are randomized, though. I think that's a random one, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure that is a random one, though. The random chests can usually be anything from, like, steel weapons to even brave weapons to something that I want to talk about later because it's actually kind of, not significant, but it's interesting. Alright, you have a steel axe and there's just a normal revenant up there. And this boss will hopefully... Okay, Rachel, you're going in. Also silence, which works just fine on non-magic enemies, but Rachel, you're not going in. Oh, she does have 11 defense though, so against that she would take 16, and then from this she's only going to take 4. So 16 and 4 is actually not... Surprised that she has 11 defense though, that's kind of impressive. So yeah, 16 and 4 is 20, so... I'm pretty sure she won't die. I need to be a bit careful though. Also, the moment that I do that, that Phantom's gonna get attacked by one of the enemies that would have attacked Rachel. Oh, also Noel's back here, but he's fine on experience anyway. Yeah, I thought so. So that takes some of the danger away. Okay, good, I wasn't, my maths was right. See, Fire Emblem does teach you a lot of basic maths. I guess I could give an ironic fact about myself is that the one type of maths that I ever really enjoyed personally was probability, ironically enough. Probably because I play games like this, I like to calculate chances of certain things happening. One part of probability that I really liked was, personally, was, like, calculating the chance of, like, 2 random chance events in a row. So, like, for example, the chance of a 50% and a 40% hitting you right one after the other, which you actually multiply the 2 together. That was worth a lot of experience. And who wants to get the last kill? I guess Kyle. I mean, I also quite like logic. And I mean, I enjoyed calculus... It's weird, I enjoyed calculus in high school, but once we got into university and I found out what calculus was actually used for, namely visual stuff and graphing, I instantly hated it. And just didn't do well at it. But anyway, that's that tangent over, and that's floor 3 over, so we'll be going to floor 4 next time.